Israel Adesanya. 28-0. The McGregor announcing about a guy who is
Hey, what's up my homies? Leighton here for UFC Gambling Addicts, back again. I'm back again, man, for another UFC full card breakdown and predictions video. This one's quite a big one, UFC 260. Stipe Miocic taking on Francis Ngannou. As always, make sure you smash that like button, Hamzat style. A couple of you last week used illegal knees, eye pokes. This week, you know, if you're taking Francis Ngannou, you can maybe uppercut that like button, Francis style. If you're taking Stipe, maybe take the like button to the mat, yeah? Alright guys, let's jump straight into it. Abu Azitar taking on Marc-Andre Barriault. We're going to start with Abu. So Abu is 1-0 inside the UFC. I actually saw this guy debut live in Germany. Used his wrestling a little bit. I believe he lost one round in that fight, but ultimately the story was his wrestling. The opponent, Marc-Andre, this guy hasn't been too great inside the UFC, it's got to be said. Basically getting wrestled, you know. He is coming off a win, got a nice clean win in his last fight. Basically knocked Oscar dead. Now, Marc-Andre, the weakness is clear. You know, he's being wrestled, being taken to the mat. That's usually how he loses. So, it's going to be one or the other, guys. Either Marc-Andre is going to continue, build off that win. He's going to find a hook and maybe potentially sit down Abu Azitar. Or he's going to go back to what he's been so far, which is being grappled. You know, it's one or the other. I wouldn't put too much money into this first fight. There's better fights to bet on. For me personally, I haven't picked against Marc-Andre yet. But I'm gonna this time. I think the wrestling may be the story. So I'll take Abu Azitar via decision. Basically wrestling round in, round out. Now my numbers, I'd put Abu maybe minus 160, minus 170 because if Marc-Andre does land that big bomb, he could go down. And the actual odds, we've got Abu Azitar plus 100, plus 110. Marc-Andre minus 130, minus 120. So, yeah, a little bit different to my odds. This line is very close, and you can see why. Marc-Andre has lost via wrestling before, more than once. And Abu Azitar, I believe 36 years old, you know, arguably out of his prime, not in a good time. So yeah, it's a difficult one to predict. I'm going to go with the wrestling. I'm not going to be gambling on this one. Alright, we've got Shane Young taking on Omar Morales. Really, really good matchup. We're going to start with Shane. So Shane comes into this matchup 2 wins, 2 losses inside the UFC. Primarily a striker. Shane Young is just tough as nails, man. I've really, really enjoyed watching tape on this guy this week. I even went back like 10 years ago. I went back all the way to his fight with Damian Brown. Way back in the day. And his warrior style, you know. Takes shots to land his shots. Really tough as nails. It didn't work in his last one. You know, if you haven't seen that fight, Ludovic Klein basically sent Shane Young to another realm. Really, really nasty. The opponent, Omar Morales, comes into this matchup 2 wins, 1 loss inside the UFC. Also primarily a striker, just like Shane Young. Primarily a kickboxer. His 145 debut didn't go too well. Chikadze, you know, completely outclassed him. Chikadze is always overlooked. You know, that guy is so underrated. This one really is a coin flip. And if you're going to bet on it, please have a really, really strong read. And understand that your read could be completely wrong. Because if you're going against Shane Young, this is a guy who has been fighting for a long time. Really could prove you wrong. If you're going against Omar Morales, this guy also has been fighting for a long time. He maybe doesn't have a lot of MMA experience the way Shane Young does, but he's been in kickboxing for 20 years. My story for this matchup is going to be, I believe Omar Morales is just too aggressive. You know, Shane Young likes to be the aggressor, and I can't really see him keeping Omar on the outside. You know, both of these guys love to be the aggressor. So who's going to be the aggressor this time? I think it's going to be Omar. So I'm going to take Omar Morales via TKO in round number 1. My numbers, I'd put Omar at least minus 160. Same as the first fight, you know, Shane Young plus 130, plus 125. And the actual numbers, we've got Omar minus 180. Shane Young coming back plus 150. Yeah, I do agree with it, man. I think both of these guys are really, really talented, but Omar seems maybe better here. Maybe a better pick. Just bigger, longer. He likes to be the aggressor, just like Shane Young. He hits hard, just like Shane Young. And who's going to be the grappler here? Both guys don't really grapple. I'd probably say Omar is the grappler too. This next matchup is basically battle of the names. We've got Modestas Bukauskas taking on Michael Oleksieczuk. Man, brilliant names. Really good names. Let's start with Modestas. So Modestas comes into this matchup 0 wins, 1 loss inside the UFC. Debuted against a guy who we all appreciate, Jimmy Crute, a rising prospect inside the UFC. He was basically destroyed by Jimmy Crute, I'm not going to lie. I actually felt that Modestas maybe could have given Jimmy a difficult fight, but completely wrong, you know? I basically felt that Modestas could fight at distance and use his kicks, but it was Jimmy Crute using his kicks. So, yeah, fair play to Jimmy on that one. Modestas does need to bounce back here. You know, he can't get blown out of the water the way he did in his debut. Michael Oleksieczuk. Now, what's this guy's record? 2 wins, 2 losses, 1 no contest. For those of you that can remember, he debuted against Khalil Roundtree as a big underdog and basically shocked us all. You know, later we found out that he was on steroids, but yeah, you know, the steroids are going to improve your performance. So despite being impressed with the debut, we find out why he was so good. In his last 2 matchups, not too good. They do share a common opponent in Jimmy Crute. Both of these guys have been mopped up by Jimmy Crute. So this one should be pretty interesting. I think Oleksieczuk has to close the distance, look to rip to the body, land low kicks, bombs upstairs. Basically just has to fight dirty. And he could finish Modestas. If you're Modestas, you've probably got to fight at distance. You know, the way Jimmy Crute landed those punches and finished him, I don't want to see Oleksieczuk close. Because if he gets close, he could finish Modestas. I'm going to stick with my fellow countryman. I know he's not entirely English, but he is part English. I think if he fights at distance, he could do well here. So I'm going to stay with him. I'm going to take Modestas Bukauskas via decision. Am I going to be betting on it? Absolutely not. My odds, I would put Modestas, let's keep them close. You know, let's keep these odds close, minus 110 each side. And the actual odds, of course, we've got Bukauskas coming in plus 140, plus 130. No faith on that line. Michael Oleksieczuk minus 150. I don't exactly disagree, because if we're looking at who's been more impressive, it is the guy who was on steroids, but yeah, I think this one's close, man. It's a close fight. Alright, we've got another good matchup here. We've got Jared Gooden taking on Abubakar Nurmagomedov. Every time I go to speak about Jared Gooden, I nearly say Jared Gordon, like every single time. So Jared Gooden comes into this matchup 0 wins, 1 loss inside the UFC. Debuted against Alan Jaban. Quite a good debut too. I mean, he did get a loss and he took many body kicks in that fight. But if you go back and watch it, really entertaining. You know, Jared Gooden found some good punches later on in that matchup. The opponent, Abubakar Nurmagomedov, also 0 wins 1 loss inside the UFC. He was submitted in his debut by David Zawada, who has pretty good BJJ. I like that the UFC makes matchups like this, because both guys, 0 wins 1 loss inside the UFC. And as we know, there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser in this matchup. So someone's going to have their back against the wall after this matchup. Could Jared Gooden knock out Abubakar? He could. He definitely could. Could Abubakar take down Jared Gooden? He definitely could. Again, at the highest level, it's one or the other. I'm leaning quite a bit more towards the grappling side. I think Abubakar probably not going to get submitted this time. Never say never, of course, but I don't think he's going to get submitted this time. I think he takes down Jared Gooden, round in, round out, maybe gets his own submission. So I'll take Abubakar via decision. And my numbers would be, I'd put Abubakar minus 180, minus 190. Jared Gooden plus 150, plus 160. And the actual numbers, we've got Abubakar over minus 200, minus 230. So a lot of faith on the Russian. Jared Gooden, nearly a plus 200 underdog. And that reminds me actually, guys, Khabib is probably going to be in the corner with Abubakar. And that reminds me as well, we've got to speak about Kevin Holland. You know, we'll do that in the smoke break. We'll do that. Alright, homies, moving into the next one. We've got Jessica Penne taking on Hannah Goldy. Man, this is a coin flip. Coin flip central. Alright, let's start with Jessica. So Jessica comes into this matchup 1 win, 3 losses inside the UFC. However, despite her record not being too great, there's something a little bit more terrible, you know. This girl hasn't been inside the octagon in nearly 4 years. You know, that's a long time, guys. In all fairness, if she's coming back to fight, you probably want to fight Hannah Goldy. No disrespect. But if you go to the flip side, if you're Hannah Goldy and you do want a career inside the UFC, you really should be beating Jessica Penne. That's why this matchup is pretty decent. If you're Jessica and you want to come back and fight, you should be beating Hannah Goldy. If you're Hannah Goldy and you want a career here, you have to beat a girl that's been off for 4 years. That's why this one is so decent. On paper, it doesn't look decent, but the storyline, you know, there's a story to every fight. And that's the story here. Both fighters have to win. And as we just said with the last breakdown, there has to be a loser. So Jessica Penne, very inactive. Hannah Goldy, built like a tank. If you haven't seen the physique of Hannah Goldy, go check it out. This girl has massive biceps, built like a tank, man. Either pick you make, you don't feel good about it. You know, it feels kind of wrong to make, but I'm gonna take Jessica Penne, man. I think if she can get into round 2, get into round 3, maybe the muscle of Hannah Goldy is gonna go against her. It looks great. You know, you look at her physique and you think, this girl's on the protein. You know, she's getting her protein shakes in every time, in abundance, maybe going 1 extra every day, you know. But as we know in fighting, the muscle, it doesn't help you. It goes against you. So if Jessica Penne has the idea that I'm going to grapple you in round 1, and then I'm going to drown you in round 2, and then I'm going to finish you in round 3, if she has that mindset and that game plan, it could go pretty well, you know, despite being off for 4 years. I think she does have a path to victory. So I'm going to take Jessica Penne. It doesn't feel great making that pick, but yeah, that's going to be my pick here. My numbers, you can already guess them, guys. Minus 110 each side. Stay away. Stay away from it. And the numbers, we've got Jessica Penne plus 100, Hannah Goldy minus 120. Yeah, it makes sense. It does make sense, you know. Both fighters have to win this matchup and there's going to be a loser. Who's it going to be? Leave the comment below. You know, if you're taking Hannah Goldy, tell me why. If you're taking Jessica Penne, tell me why, man. Let's go. Alonzo Menifield taking on William Knight. Let's be honest, this is another coin flip central, just like Jessica Penne and Hannah Goldy. Alonzo Menifield, this is a guy who basically came into the UFC, knocking people dead, big punching power. But as we've begun to learn more about this guy, we see, you know, the same thing that I said with Hannah Goldy with the muscle. He slows down. Outside of round one, nowhere near as dangerous anymore. You can weather the storm and beat this guy later on. It's been proven. William Knight also has a lot of muscle, but maybe a little bit better with it. Has a bit more to offer outside of round one. Not a lot more to offer, but maybe a little bit more to offer. He's also more likely to grapple too. We've seen him grapple. He doesn't mind it. Let's be completely honest, if you're laying money, you're really gambling, because Alonzo Menifield does have the power, does have the accuracy to knock out William Knight. And William Knight seems to be quite intelligent, likes to grapple. He could easily weather the storm in round one and later on win this fight. Alonzo Menifield is going to be aware of his gas tank and most likely improved it with the time off too. So yeah, again guys, coin flip central. I haven't picked against Alonzo Menifield yet, but I'm gonna this time. I think William Knight may be a bad matchup if he can't finish him in round one. Outside of round one, I would give the slight advantage to William Knight. So purely for those reasons, I'm going to take William Knight to get a late stoppage. My numbers, I'd put William Knight a favourite, but not a big one. I'd put him minus 120, Alonzo plus 110. And the actual numbers, yeah, minus 110 each side is perfect. Either guy can go down in round one. Outside of round one, it's still difficult to be confident. But if you're going to put a gun to my head and say, hey, who wins this if it does go outside of round one? I'd probably say William Knight. Alright, we've got Jamie Mullarkey taking on Karma Worthy. And this is opening up the main card. This is going to be a firefight. 100% this is going to be a firefight. Jamie is 0 wins, 2 losses inside the UFC. Debuted against Brad Riddell. I don't know how many of you guys remember that one. I'm sure many of you do. Jamie Mullarkey took a beating and he just wouldn't go away. Arguably could have been stopped, but you look at why it wasn't. And it's purely because Jamie Mullarkey is just too tough for his own good. He then fought Faraz Ziam. That was a much better fight for him. Arguably won that fight, but if you look at the way it ended in round 3 with him on the bottom eating punches, that's maybe why it went against him. The opponent, Karma Worthy. This guy made a real statement in his UFC debut. Big underdog, cashed in. Then went on to beat Luis Penne as an underdog, cashed in. He was then a favourite against Omar Azitar. Oh no, I think he was still an underdog. Despite winning the first 2 UFC fights as an underdog, he still went in as an underdog. But yeah, Omar Azitar blew him out the water. Wasn't even close. So the UFC, you know, they're looking at Karma Worthy's debut, the Luis Penne fight, and Omar Azitar. And then they're looking at Jamie Mullarkey's debut. And they're putting 2 and 2 together. They're seeing a firefight. I can see a firefight. I'm sure many of you guys can see fireworks in this one too. I think Jamie Mullarkey has a chin made of metal. You know, he does have a chin made of metal. Can you turn that guy's lights off? You know, he is human, so you can, but you look at the way he's taking shots by Brad Riddell and his light just, I don't know, is the light already out? Can you put this guy's lights out? I don't know. So let's assume that Karma Worthy doesn't finish him in round 1. What's going to happen? I think Jamie Mullarkey has a good chance of drowning Karma Worthy. You know, it's going to be a firefight. I think someone's going to go down. I'm going to take the boy here. I'm going to take Jamie Mullarkey to find a nice finish in round number 2. Could Karma Worthy prove to us, hey look, I'm going to set this guy down the way Brad Riddell couldn't. Could he do it? Maybe. This one's fireworks. Don't miss it. My numbers, man. Again, guys, I have to keep it close because there's a path to victory for Jamie Mullarkey. There's a path to victory for Karma Worthy. I just feel like that path to victory for both guys is a TKO. Maybe bet fight not to go the distance. Maybe that's the bet to make. Alright, my homies, you know what time it is. If you waited to smoke with me, amen. If you've been smoking this whole time, double amen. If you're not a smoker but you enjoy the smoke breaks, that's a triple amen. My brothers from many different mothers. Let's go. Alright, so we're going to speak about the homie. Alright, the homie's been playing a little bit, you know. He played a little bit too much. Is he still our homie? Yes, he is. You know, we're not gonna turn our back on Kevin Holland. Not now. You know, there's too much, right? He's been the homie for a while. He's still the homie. Did he let us down? Do we feel like, Kevin, bro, take it a little bit more serious, please? Do we feel like that? Yes, we do. We do feel like that, but he is still our homie. He does feel like he let us down. You know, he's spoken in an interview. It was sad to see, but you have to give credit to Derek Brunson. He went in there. He did exactly what he needed to do. Takedown, takedown, takedown. And then after that, it was more takedowns and takedowns. Derek Brunson stuck to a game plan. And Kevin Holland's game plan was to talk. You know, the homie... You gotta chill, Kev. You gotta chill, bro. Alright, you're still the homie. You just gotta chill a little bit. Shout out to Habib Nurmagomedov. Good cornering, you know. He told Kevin, you gotta control the hips. It's in the hips. You have to stop his wrestling, brother. Alright? I don't know how many of you guys have seen the Habib Nurmagomedov interview recently. But he basically said, I'll do the impression. I'll do it. When father put me with bear, I remember I say, hey, this bear tried to bite me. And he just said, no problem. Keep going. Bite him back. You have to keep wrestling. You know, you have to respect it, guys. You have to respect it, man. Even if you're a massive Conor McGregor fan, even if you're a massive Tony Ferguson fan, how can you not respect it? You can only respect it, man. You know, that the guy is cold. And his dad, he made him a champion, man. And he loves his dad so much, it's clear to see. You just have to respect it. You can't not respect it, you know. If you say that you don't respect it, you're lying. I know you respect it, right? We all respect it. Funny the way he says bear as well, you know, he says beer. Oh man, Habib, what a joker. Okay, so the smoke break topic. There wasn't any smoke break topics. If you have got a topic, my Instagram is on screen, make sure you hit that. Or you can leave it in the comment section below. So there was no topic this week, so I'm just going to flow. Adversity. Character and adversity, right? They go hand in hand, fellas. They really do. Now, I was watching tape this week on UFC Fight Pass. That's what I use to watch tape. Now, I don't know how many of you watch tape on this, but if you go back to a fight, say, 10 years ago, the fight doesn't happen straight away. You have to watch the promotion. Well, you can skip it. You can skip it to the fight. But usually, if you go back far enough, like 10 years ago, there's promotion before the matchup. You get to see the promotion. And Joe Rogan in a clip was basically saying, I can't remember what matchup it was. I think it was Thomas Almeida. And Joe Rogan basically said, you know, we get to see what these guys are made of. We get to see their character when things ain't going too well. We get to really see who they are. And I watched that clip and I was thinking, Man, Joe, you're right. You know, when we watch these fights week in, week out, we get to see what guys are really made of, especially when things ain't going their way, especially when they have to overcome inside the octagon, right? And then I got thinking, man, this is the same for life, right? You don't have to be a fighter to be a fighter. Life is fighting, right? You're a fighter day in, day out in this life, right? Overcoming adversity in your life. It's the same thing, man. You get to see what you're made of, right? Not only do you get to see who you are when things ain't going your way, but it also creates character, right? We see it in the octagon too. When a guy has to go 5 rounds and he doesn't get the finish, man, that creates that guy to be more of an animal next time he's inside the octagon. Same thing with life, guys. When something doesn't go your way and you have to go through it, you know, it's the same as what Mike Tyson said. You know, I don't know how many of you guys watch Mike Tyson with the hot boxing on YouTube. Having said that, I've been watching Mike Tyson recently, and this guy, such a spiritual giant, you know. He's gone from a physical giant to a spiritual giant, you know. And I love watching the Mike Tyson videos. You know, his wisdom is very strong, guys, very, very strong. And Mike Tyson basically said, you know, life, it's going to throw stuff at you. It's going to throw more and more. It's going to basically get to the point where it's like, how much more can this person take? Let me see. Is he going to quit? Let's throw this his way. Is he going to quit now? You know, it creates character, guys. Adversity creates character. It shows you who you are. You know, you have to keep going. Even when you feel like, man, I just can't take no more. You have to keep going. You know, that's when life is going to throw stuff at you, man. Now it's time to learn who you are. Now it's time to learn what you're made of. You know, adversity, as much as it feels like it's not your friend, it is your friend, man. It's creating you. It's showing you who you are. And we get to see this every single week, every single Saturday night. I get to see who these guys are. Maybe I've watched them 10 times before. I know exactly who they are already, but I get to see it again. All right, let's see. He got his nose broken in his last fight. Let's see now, right? Adversity, fellas, and character go hand in hand. So amen to all the bros who are going through adversity at this current time in their life. Keep going. Keep going, because life is going to test you. And you're going to realize who you are in the bad times. Adversity is your friend. So amen to that, fellas. If you've got a smoke break topic, drop it down in the comment section or hit my Instagram. Alright, homies, let's get into breaking down these last 4 fights on this UFC pay-per-view card. Alright, we've got Gillian Robertson taking on Miranda Maverick. Really decent matchup. We're going to start with the savage, Gillian Robertson. So Gillian comes into this matchup 6 wins, 3 losses inside the UFC. Primarily a jiu-jitsu practitioner. Her striking has evolved during her time in the UFC. She used to fight on the back foot, used to circle the octagon, but now she uses pressure. She comes forward looking to set up her takedowns. Her jiu-jitsu, really high level. Black belt in BJJ, only getting better too. You know, if she's really good on the mat now, what's it going to be in 5 years' time? She's going to be the Damian Maia of the females, you know, when it comes to BJJ. Miranda Maverick, this girl is really well-rounded, it has to be said. Her Muay Thai game, beautiful. She's also been in jiu-jitsu for over 15 years. She isn't a black belt like Gillian, she's a purple belt, but she's been on the mats since 7 years old. You know, Miranda Maverick, she's no pushover. You see that in her debut too. You know, she basically took the nose of Liana Jojua. It's quite simple, this one, in my opinion. If it stays striking, Miranda Maverick is going to tee off on Gillian. If it goes to the mat, I'm not going to say that Gillian will dominate there because, like I said, Miranda has been in BJJ for 15 plus years. But I will still give the advantage to Gillian on the mat. I think the IQ of Miranda has to be on point. She shouldn't be throwing head kicks and body kicks because they can be caught. Low kicks, jab, movement. Look to just stay on the feet, look to strike. If she does that, I think she could potentially, dismantle Gillian on the feet. So I'm going to take Miranda Maverick via decision. My numbers, I'd put Miranda minus 170, Gillian plus 140. And the actual numbers we've got, Miranda Maverick minus 150, minus 160. Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. Gillian coming back plus 130, plus 140. So the line is pretty accurate, Miranda probably wins this 6 times, maybe 7 times out of 10, if you're being really nice to her. Gillian does win this fight, but it comes on the mat. It's one or the other. I'm going to take Miranda Maverick. Thomas Almeida taking on Sean O'Malley. I love this matchup. There's a good storyline to this matchup. Let's start with Thomas. So Thomas has way more experience. He is from a different era. Does that mean that he can't turn up in this matchup? He can't perform because he's from the old school? No, it doesn't mean that, He does have a lot of experience, but recently, in most recent times, the chin, it's been cracked. It has been cracked. And he doesn't look like the old Thomas Almeida. Even against Jonathan Martinez, he competed. He went a hard 15 minutes with Jonathan Martinez. He did pretty okay. We have to give him credit in that fight. But there was moments where Thomas got clipped and it just didn't... I didn't like it, man. I took Jonathan Martinez in that matchup. I'm happy I did too because the chin, it's different now. Sean O'Malley comes into this fight with an undefeated record. If you subscribe to the opinion that it was a fluke loss, which it just wasn't, right? Marlon Vera got in there, checked low kicks, threw his own low kicks, and Sean O'Malley became injured during the fight because of the low kicks. It's not a fluke loss. That's an actual loss. Whether you took Sean O'Malley or you didn't take Sean O'Malley, that's a loss. Fair's fair. Marlon Vera is a dog. Now let's speak about that fight a little bit more. The first 2 minutes, if you go back and watch it, the first 2 minutes, Marlon Vera is biting on every single feint that Sean O'Malley is putting out there. Right? I do have to give Sean a little bit of credit here. At the start of the fight, the first 2 minutes, it looked pretty okay. But as we spoke about in the smoke break, adversity, we get to see what these guys are made of. And it appears that Sean O'Malley kind of has glass bones, right? So now we have the mindset, can Thomas Almeida get in there, throw vicious low kicks, target the legs, the ankles of Sean O'Malley, and basically replicate what Marlon Vera did? I wouldn't say it's impossible for him to do that. But what I will say is Thomas Almeida is not Marlon Vera, right? He doesn't throw nasty, vicious low kicks. He doesn't eat punches to deliver those low kicks. And he's just not Marlon Vera, right? He's Thomas Almeida. When I look at this fight, I think the feints of Sean O'Malley are just different level. They're different level. I remember speaking about Sean O'Malley for the breakdown against Marlon Vera. And I was speaking about him being a prospect, a rising star. I'm going to stay with that here, man. I'm going to stay with that. I don't think there's much reason to jump off of that. Marlon Vera outdogged him. And he's a dog, right? There's no shame in that loss. I think the way he's speaking about being undefeated is a little bit annoying. You know, it is a bit annoying because, you know, take the loss like a man, right? But this is a different fight. We've moved on from that fight, Marlon Vera versus Sean O'Malley. I think Sean has a lot of feints to give, a lot of tools in his arsenal with the kicking. I think he basically outclasses Thomas Almeida. If Thomas Almeida wants to win this, he knows how to do it. You have to be a dog in there. You have to go in there, inflict damage, and not take that damage yourself. And every time I picture this matchup, I see Thomas Almeida getting hurt. I'm going to be honest. Could I be wrong? Yes, I could. You can always be wrong when you predict the fight. But I think Sean O'Malley, TKO, potentially any round. It can be any round. But I'm going to go with round number 3. My odds, I'd say Sean O'Malley maybe wins this fight at least 7 times out of 10. So around minus 220, 230. Maybe a little bit harsh, but yeah, I'm not jumping off. I'm not jumping off the train here. Marlon Vera is a dog. And to beat Sean O'Malley, you have to be a dog. I'm not sure that Thomas is that. Now, the actual numbers. Sean O'Malley coming in minus 350, minus 370, minus 330. Yeah, I agree. I agree with it, man. Thomas Almeida has it. It has the writing on the wall. He knows how to do it. I think he's taken too much damage in this sport, though. I don't think he's the Thomas Almeida of old. Alright, homies, co-main event. We've got Tyron Woodley taking on Vicente Luque. And by the way, it really sucks that we haven't got the real co-main event. Brian Ortega taking on Volkanovski, but hopefully we get that one soon. So let's start with the former champion, now rap god, if you ask Tyron Woodley. So yeah, Tyron Woodley, man. Former 170 champion, has nothing left to prove in the sport of mixed martial arts. But he's still competing. You know, he's lost many rounds, basically every round, since the Kamaru Usman fight. It doesn't look good for him in there, man. I'm going to be honest. He looks vacant. He looks gunshot. He looks like a shell. We know what he has. The right hand. It's nasty. It can set you down. You only have to look at the fight against Darren Till, which was right before the Kamaru Usman loss. He set down Darren Till with that right hand. We know he's got it. He's just not throwing it. And I'm not sure why. And when he does throw it, it's a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes until we see it again. It can't be like that. I know back in the day that he used to just, you know, keep that right hand loaded, and then boom, hits you with it. This is a different time, Tyron Woodley. You know, you're out of your prime. You have to fight a little bit different. The wrestling, he doesn't go to his wrestling. Even against Darren Till, he knocked down Darren Till to get to the mat. He never took down Darren. He couldn't get him to the mat. I'm sure Tyron Woodley has gone back and looked at the Burns fight, looked at the Colby fight, even looked at the title fight against Usman. I'm sure he's looked at all of this and he's seeing it himself too. So is he going to show up and give us a little bit more than just circling on the outside, flat-footed, no output? I hope so, man. I really do hope so. Because as a former champion, I don't really want to see him go out like this, I'll be honest. You know, I picked Usman to take that title. Some people told me I was crazy too. I can remember some people saying Usman's a Division 2 wrestler, Woodley's a Division 1 wrestler. That's not what happened inside the octagon. But yeah, man, Tyron Woodley, he looks gunshot in there. The opponent, Vicente Luque, this guy is a nasty, nasty man. You know, this guy's a Muay Thai practitioner and he takes no prisoners. You know, he's getting in there to hurt you. Never been finished. Right? So if Tyron Woodley can set him down with a right hand and finish Vicente Luque, that is really impressive. I'm not going to take that though. I'm going to take Vicente Luque. More output. He understands where Tyron Woodley is currently in his career. I think this is a great fight for the Brazilian. So I'm going to take Vicente Luque via decision. And the reason why I'm taking a decision, Tyron Woodley seems more happy going 15 minutes, going 25 minutes without getting knocked out rather than trying to engage and getting caught. I hope it's different. Like I said, I hope he doesn't go out like this, but chances are he probably does. My numbers, I'd put Vicente ballpark with O'Malley, minus 220, minus 230. And the actual numbers, minus 240, minus 250. So yeah, smart money on O'Malley and smart money on Vicente Luque. Alright my homies, main event. If you've enjoyed any of my breakdowns on this video, if you enjoyed the smoke break, make sure you smash that like button. If you're not subscribed already, please make sure you do that. And my Instagram will also be at the end of this video. Alright homies, Stipe Miocic taking on Francis Ngannou. This is a rematch, right? I'm sure most of you, 99.9% of people listening to this right now, I'm sure you understand how the first fight went. Now I did take Stipe Miocic in the first fight. My YouTube wasn't going back then, but I remember it very, very vividly. I remember it like it was yesterday. I felt if Stipe could take down this monster of a man, he could pull off a shock upset, retain his title, and that's exactly what he did. I think this one comes down to whatever you prefer. Literally, if you think Stipe can take down Francis, which he can, you've seen him do that before, then take Stipe. If you believe he's going to do that round in, round out, pick Stipe Miocic. Now, if you think that Francis can knock Stipe into a new realm, then take Francis Ngannou. The truth, guys, either guy can win. If you want the truth, Stipe Miocic can take down Francis. And I've seen Francis knock too many people out. I know that he can knock out Stipe. I haven't seen it. We haven't seen it. But I know it can happen. He's only got to connect. Right? And that's exactly why this main event is massively anticipated. We want to see, is it going to be wrestling round in, round out again? Or is he going to catch him? Is he going to catch him? Like I said, man, the truth is both can happen. Only one can happen, but both of them are plausible. Whoever shows up on the night is going to be the winner. If you did this fight on Friday night, it could be Francis. If you did it on Saturday night, it could be Stipe. If you did it next week, guys, both of them can win. I recently watched George St. Pierre on the Rogan podcast, and he said, listen, everyone understands that anyone can beat anyone. It's just whoever turns up on that particular night at that particular time. Right? It's so true. Like I said, man, first time round I took Stipe. This time round, guys, I'm going to take Francis Ngannou. I believe he does catch him this time. But of course, if he doesn't catch him, it's because Stipe's showing us again why he's the best heavyweight of all time. He's taking this monster of a man down, nullifying him, and retaining his title. Now, I've seen some people say, yeah, but who's tried to take down Francis? Who's tried to take him down since that loss? And the truth is, a couple people. Curtis Blades did try. He got clipped on the way in. Cain Velasquez got too close. He tried the takedown. He got badly hurt. I think Francis is just going to hammer. He's just going to throw hammers at the ear. He's not going to try a sprawl. He's just going to try hit him with an uppercut. And if the uppercut misses or it even connects, and Stipe gets in on the hip, gets in on the legs, Francis is just going to throw hammers and hope that Stipe goes out. And if he doesn't go out, it's because the fight hit the mat. And now we have to see, can he get up? Or does he stay on the mat? This is where we see, is the improvement made? Right? For me, guys, I took Stipe first time. I'm going to take Francis this time. I've just got a feeling. I've got a weird feeling that there's going to be a shadow round. Could I be wrong? Of course. It's Stipe Miocic. But guys, I show up every week. I give you what I feel. Sometimes you agree with me. Sometimes you disagree with me. But I'm always honest, man. Can Stipe win? Yes, he can. Can Francis win? Yes, he can. Both guys can win. This is the highest level. And I cannot wait for this main event. My numbers, I'd keep them dead close. I'd keep them both the same. You know, that first round is going to be the most terrifying round for Stipe. That round 2 is not going to be as terrifying, but it still will be a tough, difficult round if Stipe cannot get him to the mat. After round 1 and round 2, if we get into round 3, 4 and 5, yeah, the danger really is going at that point. But the first round, and even the second, if I'm honest with you, Francis he's dangerous. So I'm going to take Francis Ngannou via KO, not TKO, KO in round number 1. The odds on this fight, Francis minus 120, Stipe plus 100. By fight night, I think that will be different. I think if you're betting on Stipe, you should probably take it now. Because I think on Saturday night, he's going to be in the minus. If you're betting on Francis, I'd wait. Wait a day or two. That's going to turn into plus. Alright homies, I've enjoyed breaking down all these fights. As always, I look forward to engaging with you guys in the comment section. Alright guys, peace.